Hello, welcome to Talk a Good Game. Now, the internationals are done. Scotland's not going to the World Cup. England are going to get knocked out in the group stage of the World Cup. Nothing new there. But we're about to talk about West Ham. Away to Burnley on Saturday, match day 8 of the Premier League. Gonzo, what's your thoughts on Burnley?
They done well. They lost arguably their two best players over the summer. And you still look at them as a newly promoted club, even though they've done a little bit of yo-yoing. But I still sort of look at them in the same way that I would maybe look at Huddersfield, who came up. But actually, they've probably got a little bit more Premier League pedigree than that now. I think it's remarkable because a club of that size who would have one or two decent players can lose them and sort of keep momentum going. I've noticed no discernible difference between last season and this season.
Luke's here with us. He's going to the game on Saturday. He'll be doing a vlog over on his channel. The link is in the description below. So if you haven't already, go subscribe and catch it on Saturday night, Sunday, whenever it goes up. But Luke, what's your opinion on Burnley?
Well, I agree with Gonzo. I think they should probably get a lot more respect from people like us, but I still see them as sort of a newly promoted side. When I look at Burnley, I just think, how far can they really go? I definitely think they're a team full of grafters in there. They haven't got any world-class players or players in there, but they're a side that work hard as a team, and they give it their shot, really. You know, they've had some really good results this season. So, yeah, a tough opponent.
Yeah, I'm going to prove Mr. Unpopular here. I find them really boring. They've only had one game this season out of the 7 so far that's had more than 2 goals in it. I find they've all been 1-0s, 1-1s, 0-0s, and I just find it very boring. And I appreciate they don't have the best players available and they're playing to their strengths, and they are doing well. They're sitting 6th in the league. They've had some fantastic results away from home this season. I can't remember off the top of my head. They won at Stamford Bridge. I think they've gone to Anfield and Wembley as well. They've gone to 2 other big teams, got something. They are doing really well, but it's just, I'll be very surprised if they finish anywhere near the top half. I still expect them to finish 15th, if that. I still think they can get. I'll tell you what, they're very lucky. I think that they've done this well in the first 7 games, because I thought they were going to get relegated this season. I just don't think they've got enough about them. But they've got a manager about him, and they've got one, like Luke said, and Gonzo alluded to, they're grafters, and graft will get you points over the course of the season. Gonzo, we spoke about they lost Michael Keane in the summer. Is there any players they've got currently that you fancy or you're afraid of that?
I can't think of one of their players. Now you mention it, I don't know. Clearly they're better than the sum of their parts. I don't think they've have one. This is gonna well, there's no Burnley fans watching anyway. Surely they don't have one player that would get into our best 11. Surely they don't. Surely they don't have a better centre back than Font or Reed or Bonner. I don't know what their central midfield is, probably where we're weakest. If they've got better players than Sacco and Hernandez and Carroll and Arnautovic, Antonio, Lanzini, surely they are just they're just a team that are very, very well organised with no superstar players. Not only no superstar players, I can't even think of any sort of mediocre ones. As you say, Keane to Everton, and what's his name? Gray went off to Watford, wasn't it? Aside from that, couldn't tell you, mate.
Look, any players that you sort of look at and think, oh, he's a bit of a danger, or I wouldn't mind him at West Ham?
Yeah, I mean, I think Brady whips a mean ball in at times. He's good at his set pieces, but again, would I have in the West Ham starting 11? Probably not. I know they got Chris Wood from Leeds as well, who's started quite well there. But again, they work hard for each other at Burnley, but I don't think there's any players I'd take in the West Ham side, if I'm honest.
I think you can make a case for Tom Heaton, personally. I think you can make a very good case for him as the keeper. I think Ben Mee's a fantastic centre-back. I remember doing the preview last year with Gonzo talking about Ben Mee, because I think he's a really good defender. I really like Henrik in midfield. I think he's a really, really good player. I've always been intrigued to see how he would get on, step it up. He's doing it on an international level as well. This week for Ireland, he did it against Wales. Defoe, they've still got that Stephen Defoe in midfield as well. He's a decent enough player. I think they've got some good players there. They've got some good players there. They're sort of an average Premier League team there. I think. But let's talk about the manager quickly then. Myself and Gonzo have already spoke about him on the last cup of tea, so you can go check that out if you haven't already. Luke, what's your opinions on Dyche? He's been linked with Bilic's job if Bilic was to go.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm sickened by that, if I'm honest. It's going to certainly upset Tom Down. I'm sure he'll be watching tonight. But I remember going to West Ham Watford at Watford in 2012 when we went down into the Championship, and he was manager of Watford at the time. We thrashed them off the park 4-0, and I was just thinking, who's this guy in charge? It was an early stage of his managing career, and since then he's obviously took over Burnley, and he's done well at Burnley. He didn't do too well at Watford, but he's found his level in Burnley. Like you say, boring football, very steady. He's only proven at one club. He's not proven to be a manager to take you forward at all. And for me, if he played Slaven Bilic, I would be very, very.
Yeah, well, you guys at home, let us know if you would like Sean Dyche in charge as the next manager of West Ham in the comments below. Charlie will be speaking to a Burnley fan again, a Burnley insight, who are probably going to be a lot kinder to their side than we've just been. They're probably not going to be so kind to us. Well, he'll be asking, is Pope a decent keeper? Is Tom Heaton's likely to be injured? And he'll be asking just what's going on at Turf Moor. There's 3 games at Turf Moor, and they've seen just 2 goals in total so far this season. That'll be out tomorrow night, so do check it out. Moving on to West Ham, Pedro Obiang is a so-so. He is back in training, but it's unlikely he will start. James Collins is the only other senior player injured. So Bilic finally has a decent set of players to choose from. Which set of players will he pick? Well, that's what we're waiting to discuss. Gonzo, does he stick with 2 up front? And if so, which 2 does he play?
Are we asking what he's doing or what I'm doing?
What you're doing. I don't care what you think Bilic is going to do. I mean, that would be a boring show, wouldn't it? What would you want to do? What would you like to see?
Okay, I'd like to see a change. I think the 3 at the back is working. And we've got to find a way for Masuaku, but I think we've got to attack these guys. So we've got to play 3 at the back, like a 3 Font, Reed, or Bonner. I think Zabaletta's got to play at wing back. You've probably got to play Noble in the midfield. Masuaku's got to play maybe as a wing back. I'll probably play Lanzini in there with Noble actually for a bit of passing. We've lacked the midfield, and then how many players that we've got left?
You've done 3, 4. You've done 3 at the back and 4 midfielders so far.
Okay. So 3, 1 Lanzini, and then I'll go for Antonio Chicharito and Arnautovic as a front 3, if you like.
What's your front 3? Sorry,
Antonio, Chicharito in the middle, and Arnautovic.
Okay, Luke, what about yourself? I mean, it worked to an extent against Swansea. I wouldn't necessarily say Burnley are any more exotic than Swansea, but they're certainly a lot more cleverer with the ball, if you like.
I mean, I'd probably go 4-4-2 for this game. I think there's players that need to cement a place in the team still. People still have a point to prove. I would like to see the Sacco and Hernandez partnership in force. I think the thing is with Andy Carroll, and I think even Hernandez as well at times, they're very much players that come on for the last half an hour, 20 minutes to make an impact. And I think Sacco's more of an out-and-out striker that can play in 90 minutes and do his job, whereas the other 2 are more impact players. But I'd like to see 4-4-2. And definitely see Masuaku.
Yeah,
he's banging on the door, really, isn't he?
Yeah, I would go 3-5-2 for this one. It's not a formation we've played yet this season. We've all sort of played that 3-4-3. It's almost like a hybrid of 4-4-2 and 3-5-2. I would go 3-5-2 for this one. And to be honest, I think the big decision for me would then, who do you play right wing back? Do you play Zabaleta there, or do you pull Antonio back there? But if you play Zabaleta, I've suddenly not got room for Antonio, which is madness when you think about it. But I too would like to see Hernandez and Sacco. I don't like Sacco, but he's the one that stuck the ball in the net, which is something Andy Carroll hasn't done this season. And I do think long ball against Burnley just won't work. I think they'll be happily to take on Andy Carroll in there. I remember a couple of years ago against Burnley when 1-3-1, Sacco ran them absolutely ragged that game. Do think Burnley side, I'm aware of that, because the reason I remember, because it was a 90-1 scorecast that I had. That's why I remember that clear as day in my mind. But I would have Lanzini in the middle, probably Noble. It has to be Czech, really, unfortunately. But have them in there with Lanzini sort of pushing on it. And I too would go with Masuaku at left wing back, which is mad because Creswell just had a really good game for England. But if it's a flat 4, I would have Creswell left back. I still would have Creswell left back if it was a flat 4 at the back. But Gonzo, would you be happy with a point? Don't tell me what you think the score will be, but would you take a point at Turf Moor?
I guess I would, but I'm looking for entertainment as much as anything else. I think, by and large, the recent run of results had managed to turn things around a little bit, got us out that nasty bit of danger that we were in. So I think now he's cemented that. Perhaps he's sorted out the defence a little bit. I'd actually like to see a little bit of entertainment on it. So I would take a draw if we had a bit of a humdinger and we attacked. And whether you sort of liked my team or you didn't like my team, the point is I was trying to get all the best attacking players in there and not worry about Burnley too much. You say at Turf Moor not scored many goals, but you know what? Let's go in with that mindset. Let's actually go and attack them and cause them problems. And yeah, I think a draw where we're like Burnley and like Hull did to us last season at our place, where we're hitting the bar and we're going at them. We come away with a point where we've had a go and we can take some promise into the next few games. I think that's quite important.
Yeah, they've scored 1 goal in 3 games at home, and that was against Crystal Palace. Luke, what about yourself? Would you take a point here?
I wouldn't take it now, no. After the game, I'd say it's a good point to get. I think any point in the Premier League away from home is quite good. But you know, if West Ham turn up, we will win. We did it last season when we went there with quite a poor side. We had a lot of injuries, but went up there and got the job done. We're good enough to beat them, and I think if we do win this game, you know, we're starting to see Slav turn the corner.
Yes, slowly but surely, hopefully. But I think our game last year, the last game of the season, I don't think that was our best performance of the season, actually. The best I've seen Ayew and Faguli play in a West Ham shirt. Anyway, let us know what your prediction, what team you would put out. Dyche has got a lot of options. Hernandez has scored for Mexico. Sacco scored for Senegal. Arnautovic has scored for Austria. He's got a lot of attacking players fit. They're now on form, if you like. They're also scoring for their countries. And interestingly, the club released a little video of Dyche today, and Dyche said in it, we've been working on a couple of players in the attacking side of the game. Now, you need to put your thinking cap on in here and say, well, who is it? Because half of them have been away. So that leaves Carroll and Antonio for me. That's the only ones I can think of. And Lanzini. So those 3 players are the ones that weren't on the international duty, because Hernandez, Arnautovic and Sacco were a thing. Betway, we do a charity bet every week with Betway. This week our bet is West Ham double chance, so basically we don't lose. Under 2.5 goals, under 11.5 corners. We're going for a boring game, basically. And Jack Cork to get a yellow card. 12-1 Betway are offering, so if you fancy a bit of that, the link's in the description. And Betway are sticking 50 quid on, and if it wins, the money goes to charity. But Gonzo, are you confident for this one then? A lot to choose from, finally.
No, I think I do think we'll win, but confidence is not. I think confidence is something that's got to be earned. I think if I was confident now, it would be blind confidence because we're West Ham and I'm a West Ham fan and blah, blah. It would be blind confidence. I've seen nothing recently that would give me confidence that we can go up there, but we should, like you say, if the players are in form. I don't think I think Slav's got himself out of trouble, so I don't think it's a must-win for him. But actually, I think it's a must-win in terms of the tone it sets for the rest of the season, because these are our winnable runner games. We've got Brighton coming up and Palace is on the horizon and whatnot. So I think we set the tone now. Now's the time when we say, right, this is why we bought Arnautovic. This is where Chicharito plays. Antonio's back and Zini's back. Now we're going to go and we're actually going to go and attack some teams. We've got Man U out of the way and those tricky games. But I'm not confident, but we have more than enough to give them a bloody good C&2, basically.
Luke, are you confident?
I don't know, really. I think there's still a lot of pressure on Slav, to be honest, certainly after that Swansea game. But like Gonzo said, we have a lot of firepower now that is all match fit. So really, if we don't score goals in this game, you know, there's going to be more questions asked, if I'm honest. But yeah, it's a tough one for me. I'm not very confident, if I'm honest, though.
The one thing I'm confident of is not getting a hiding. I don't think this is going to end up a 3-0 Burnley. They're the type of team, if they score, they'll happily run back onto the edge of their own box and say, right, we're taking one. I've got a feeling it could be a bit like West Brom a few weeks ago. I've got a feeling it's going to be 2 managers who will sort of just slowly go for it, and then come an hour mark, they'll go, right, that's it. Let's just 0-0 and call it quits. Also, another plug, there's quite a few of them tonight, but Luke plays for Thames Ironworks Community Football Club, which is a Sunday League team. for West Ham fans. The link is in the description to our latest video. So if you haven't checked it out or you don't know what it's about, give them a look and have a little try and see if you like it. It's just a Sunday League team of West Ham fans, basically. But prediction time now, score prediction. None of us are really confident, despite what's on offer here. I mean, Gonzo was talking about entertainment. For me, this one, I'm not wanting to, well, I do want to. It's not a requirement for me until next week, which is Brighton at home. That's when I want to see the entertainment. And for this one, it's get something out of the game so you can take the shackles off a little bit. Friday night at home against Brighton, you've got to be pushing out the entertainment football there. But Gonzo, what's your score prediction for this one?
Just before I do, I meant to say earlier, somebody, I think, watched the England game, and somebody was talking about Gareth Southgate, and they said Gareth Southgate is riddled with fear. So in the second game, would England play Lithuania, was it?
Yeah.
It was Lithuania. And somebody said Gareth Southgate is riddled with fear. He's playing with 2 central defensive midfielders against Lithuania, right? And it sort of resonated. I wasn't thinking about England. I thought about West Ham. And that's what we've got not to do. Slaven Bilic needs to get back to the old Bilic where he chuck attackers on and not be riddled with fear. We don't want to see Noble and Kiate sat there protecting the defenders and not really venturing forward. So with that in mind, I think he's going to grab the ball by the horns, the pressure's off, and I think we're going to win 2-0.
2-0. Hopefully Jack Clark gets a book in. It's under 11 and 11.5 corners and we'll win our bet. Look what you're saying. What's your score prediction?
I'd love to be wrong, but I think we're going to draw 1-0.
Well, I'm actually doing the same as Luke here. I'm going 1-1. Hence, you can tell by the bet that I've got Betway to do that. I'm predicting it to be a low scorer, and I think we're going to get something. I think I'm going 1-1 as well, actually. But anyway, you guys at home, let us know what you think. We want to know what lineup you would start with. Loads of options for Slava, as we said. What score prediction you think it'll be. And also, we'll be back on Saturday with our review. Check Luke's channel out for the vlog. The link is in the description. Thames Ironworks, links in the description. Betway, link is in the description. We're being kind. We've done all the hard work for you. But Gonzo, thank you very much, and I'll see you Saturday afternoon.
Thank you, mate.
Luke, thank you for coming. Enjoy the trip up, and hopefully you see a good performance.
Hopefully.
And it's goodbye from me as well. Thank you for joining us. We'll catch you.